Have you ever done something that you knew was wrong? You feel guilty, you feel shame, but you find the ability to overcome these feelings by saying sorry? Saying sorry, that is, apologising, can be the resolution of a lot of issues. But the question here is, in the event of an apology, how can one decipher whether this action is true guilt and remorse or simply restoring a relationship, regardless of whether they feel this or not? Bennett draws on this idea and describes the difference as instrumental and intrinsic. An instrumental apology is based on the idea that we only apologise to regain trust in relationships, showing that we can go through the difficulty of apologising, but not necessarily connecting with reasons for wrongdoing. An intrinsic apology, however, is seen to restore the damages whilst expressing shame, a remorseful acknowledgement of their own wrongdoing, accepting responsibility and motivation to repair the issue. Deciphering this is sometimes not that simple, but Bennett discusses that if we look at the criteria by which an apology to be sincere, we see that understanding blame and guilt can shed light on this. The cricket cheating scandal is a recent event that displays a few versions of apologies. I'm sure you all remember what happened here. How could you forget after all? 3 of our Aussie cricket players were getting pummeled in a cricket match, so during lunch, Captain Steve Smith, Vice-Captain David Warner and Cameron Bancroft devised a ball tampering plan which was very much cheating, using sandpaper to scuff the ball. When caught on camera, one of the boys tried to hide the sandpaper down his pants. Overall, it was a devastating occurrence that cost these boys their career. So when you've upset the whole nation and avid cricket supporters, something should be done about that, right? So here we have David Warner's first apology, a tweet written down on his iPhone notes, posted on Instagram. Naturally, this is where the public thought, hang on a minute, you've just ruined your career and our faith in cricketers. Is this seriously all you've got? There's something incredibly insincere about the way Warner first spoke to the nation. Now let's compare this with Steve Smith's very first apology to Australia. Here's a snapshot from Steve's interview, which displayed him at his most vulnerable in probably the worst time of his career. Steve worked his way into our hearts and showed true remorse and devastation. These raw scenes of Steve breaking down and his emotive language, such as, "I know I'll regret this for the rest of my life. I'm absolutely gutted. I hope in time I can earn back respect and forgiveness." This is making us feel sorry for Steve and allowing us to feel his pain. So what's the difference here? Bennett discusses how a successful apology also has to show proper recognition of the gravity of what was done. Steve Smith does this effectively by constantly reiterating what a devastation this is for the whole world of cricket, not just himself or his team. Warner, however, fails to acknowledge the degree of what's been done. We can kind of draw from these apologies the ideas of instrumental and intrinsic apologies. Warner's being an instrumental demonstration of an apology by not fully connecting with the audience, but simply regaining trust. Steve's, however, is an intrinsic demonstration where we have made the judgment of sincerity as he is remorseful, taking responsibility for his own actions, and determined to reform. Thus, we look at the question again based on these two apologies. How can one decipher whether an apology is true guilt and remorse or simply restoring a relationship, regardless of whether they feel this or not? This can be answered in reference to Bennett's article and these two apologies. The tone, the sincerity, the self-recognition of blame, the responsibility taken, and the determination for remorse.